Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Ignace Aleya with another Motion Graphics Monday, and I know it's Tuesday, so the name isn't really consistent right now, but the thing was, it was actually my mom's 60th birthday on Sunday, and then on Monday I had this first aid class that I was taking along the week, and we had exams on that day, so it was kind of a busy moment for me, so I couldn't produce a video on time, and I prefer taking that extra moment to optimize the quality. So I was actually working on this template, which you will see right now.
We got love that we'll never need to hide. Love will always rise above. Whatever comes, we will be just fine. If I am yours and you are mine, take my hand and let's fly away to another galaxy. Hold me close, I want to feel your love.
Alright, so that looks really cool. In today's video, I will be doing an overview on how I created that title sequence, and we'll also take a look on how to create it hard using a plugin called Trapcode Particular. If you don't want to follow this tutorial, or you wish to support our YouTube channel, or you just don't have that plugin and you want that kind of result, you can always go ahead and buy this template on our website. It has a plugin version and a no plugin version, so everyone is able to use this template. So links will be in the description, and without further ado, let's jump into Adobe After Effects. If you enjoy my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos. Alright, so here we are in Adobe After Effects, and as you can see, this is actually my composition, well actually my main composition. Let's take a look. We'll take a look at the end sequence right here. So if we open that up and we'll fit this to the work area, let me do a quick preview on this one. Alright, so something like this is what we will be creating today. So the first thing that we'll take a look at is how to create that heart in the background. So we will be using a plugin called Trapcode Particular, and the lens flare that you see right here is actually optical flares from Video Copilot. So let's create a new composition. I will actually make this full HD. The template I made was actually for 4K, so that's great. Then right here I will put 10 seconds long and rename this to the tutorial heart, so I actually know what to do with it, and that's deleted afterwards. So click OK, and we'll create a new solid layer. So right here I'll create a new background and click OK. Go to Effects and Generate. I will use the 4-color gradient here. So what I've done in my original one is actually picked a few colors that actually really came close to each other. So I will go and pick some reds here, some orange colors, or maybe some more like towards the pink colors. But just make sure that they are nice and dark here. And yeah, just find something that you like. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can always go ahead and fine tune it afterwards. Like for example, this one is a little bit too bright. But this could work. For example, this is a little bit too dark, so let's brighten that up a little bit. But now we have a little bit of variation going on. We can bring these in the corners a little bit more and add some variation in here. Maybe we want to change this one just a little bit more towards the reds, so we have a little bit of variation going on. Yeah, so that was my way of working on this. It's completely up to you how you create your background. So next we'll go and create a new solid layer, and this is going to be our particles. We'll click OK, and then we can immediately apply our Trapcode Particular to it. So go to Trapcode and add Particular. Okay, so as you can see right here, we need to animate this. So the way we are going to be animating this is actually we're going to use the information from a mask layer. We're going to copy this into our positioning. So how do we do that? We'll go to our pen tool right here, and we'll draw some kind of half heart. So we'll click over here, make it something like this, move it up a little bit, and there we go. Actually, we want it to be nice and straight, so we can hold shift. while doing this. Then right here, we want another one, maybe closer to each other, maybe a little bit lower. And just try to make your best heart possible. There we go. And then right here, we want to create another one, and this is going to close our heart. Okay. Maybe position this up a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. There we go, closer together. You can really go ahead and play around with this, so it's a little bit of searching. You can always use a real heart photograph and then use that as a reference for your heart that you're going to be creating here. But as this is a tutorial, it doesn't really matter how my heart looks. It's actually just the principle on, it's actually just to show you the workflow on how to actually get this kind of shape to be a position indicator. So in the tutorial, I just want to show you how to convert the mask to the position keyframe. So right here, we'll actually see that this mask isn't closed, so we can use the add or subtract. All we need to do is actually go to the mask path right here by clicking M twice on the keyboard, or just pressing it once will be enough. Right here, we'll click on the mask path and just go to edit copy, or just Ctrl C on the keyboard. Now what we want to do is go to the emitter right here and go to the positioning tool right here, but actually we want to open that up in our composition itself. So in the solid, we'll go to effects, Trapcode particular, and go to the emitter, click on the position, make sure your time scrubber is in the beginning of the timeline, and just hit Ctrl V. And as you can see, we have now keyframes which will animate our particles along that mask layer. If you want to reverse that animation, if we want to start from the bottom to the top, we can just right click, go to keyframe assistance, and then time reverse the keyframes. And now it will actually start on the bottom and just work its way up right here. So that looks pretty cool. If you want to make it longer or shorter, we'll just hold Alt, select all of these layers. So right now they're all selected, hold Alt, and you can actually drag them out or in. That will just, kind of change this time scale on it completely. So the animation is going to be very consistent. As you can see, it's very smooth and looks pretty great. All right, so maybe a little bit shorter, so hold Alt and set it around 2 seconds, which it already was. We can click away and select the first and the last keyframe here. Before we continue this video, I would like to present you our website designed for filmmakers and video editors to improve their workflow. We offer templates, presets, high-quality pre-made packs, soundscapes, essential graphics, and much more. If you don't have time to create something of your own, or you just want to speed up your workflow, definitely check out our website with the link in the description below. And there we go. Now we can right-click and go to Keyframe Assistance and click on Easy Ease. And what that will do is it will actually just smooth out the start and the stop of the animation. So we can open up the graph editor right here by clicking on this icon. Make sure that you are working with a speed graph instead of a value graph. And then we can just trim these down. So just bring them in a little bit, tuck them in. And now we will see that it starts a little bit like this and comes to a nice stop. We can also just hold Ctrl and click on one of these layers. We'll actually, just while one is selected, so click on this one, hold Ctrl and click on it. And that will actually start linearly and then come to a nice stop at the end, which could also work. Let's use this one for now, and yeah, fine. So next what we want to do is go to the velocity here and actually zero out everything. So the velocity, we want to set everything to 0. And as you can see now, we'll have this kind of animation, which is a little bit smoother. We don't have that kind of velocity going on. We can also click on this icon, which will just hide our mask so we can actually see what the particles are doing. So we can scroll down a little bit and actually go over here to the physics tab and open up the air tab. Here we want to just play around with the turbulence field, so open up the turbulence field part and affect the position to something like 250. As you can see now, the particles are going to have this kind of wiggle effect, which is very cool. Of course, we can just lower it maybe to 150, a little bit lower, and then play around with all the other settings. This is completely up to you. I like to set my scale to something like 7, maybe the complexity to 6. And there we go. So let's preview this. Looks pretty cool. All right, so next one I want to do is actually add a few more particles, because right now we don't see a line, we see all kinds of dots, and this is because there are not enough particles in my opinion. Of course, these dots, it can be a style that you want to tackle, but I want to have a nice straight line like this. Next, if you see some chunks in your particles, but right now it actually looks very consistent, so we can keep it as it is. But if not, you can always try and go for the 10x linear, which is going to smoothen out your path a little bit better. So next, what I want to do is you can increase the velocity something like 10 if you want to, and this will like kind of open up very little. And then also the randomness to 100, you can do that if you want to. I will decide to just use a line for this example. And then for the particles, if we're going to open up the tab for the particles themselves, we want to use the live and set it to something like maybe 2, and there we go. And then for the opacity, well, actually 1.5 will be a little bit better. Okay. Then for the size, maybe change it to something like 3, so we have a thin line, something like this. And then go to the size over live. We can open that up and go for a preset where we actually choose this second one, so right here. And this is going to fade out our particles like so. So this is really cool. Maybe you want to set the live now to 1.7 so we can see it just a little bit longer, but we can definitely see that this is half of a heart. Okay, so now we have this. We can also change the color by going to the color and changing the set color to over live and open up the color over live tab. Here again, you can choose a preset. I'm going to use the white to black preset and change the color to a nice gold kind of color. Something like this is pretty cool. And then right here, we can also use like a darker kind of orange, I would say, and there we go. So now we have this kind of animation. Of course, play around with the colors, do your own thing, but yeah, basically that's what you have. Once you're satisfied with your first particle layer, what I like to do is actually, before we do that, let's just set our blending mode to a screen. There we go. So then for the particles, I will go to edit duplicate or just hold Ctrl and press D on the keyboard. That will duplicate my layer. And the first thing that I want to do now is actually scroll down all the way to the air tab again. And with the turbulence field, we want to affect it a little bit differently so we actually see a different kind of line. So for the scale, set it back to 10, maybe set this to 120. In complexity, maybe set this to 12. Or actually set it to 2. Play around. And now we have a different kind of line. Maybe set the scale to 15, a little bit more. Go crazy a little bit. All right, so now we have a second line. As you can see, if you're going to start building everything up, it's gonna look very cool. I think that live is a little bit too long in this case, so I will lower this to 1.4. So we have a different kind of variation, and this line is going to fade out a little bit sooner. Now we can go ahead and duplicate this layer one more time, and now we can play with the velocity. For example, set this to 15 and 100 for the randomness, maybe even 25. Let's see what that does. And now you will see some particles flying off, and that's really cool. That's really bringing some life here. You can also go to the size in the particle tab and change the randomness for the size to 100. And that way you're going to see a few of these particles in a different kind of size, which is really cool. Next, once it actually finishes its animation, we can press U on the keyboard to see where that is. That's right here. We want to go to that last keyframe and go all the way up in our particle layer. So right here, I will actually click on the keyframe for our particles per second. And then the next keyframe, I'm just going to set this to 0. So now we have an animation. If we're going to check and zoom in, we have one keyframe where it's at 580, and the next frame is going to be set to 0. This means that once it reaches that frame, it will actually stop generating new particles, and that way it's also going to be able to fade itself out. So we are going to copy these settings and actually select the last two and go to this layer, paste it, and then this layer, also paste it. And now if we're going to play it forward, you will see that our particles actually get faded off. You can also select these keyframes and actually offset them a little bit sooner if you want to, just to make sure that you don't have like these particles that are stopping in the middle of your screen and just do nothing. So let's preview this. Okay, so this is really cool. Right here we have the kind of result that we are after. Next, what I will do is actually select these keyframes for the position of the particles, go to edit, copy, or Ctrl C. Then create a new solid layer. And this is going to be our flare, and click OK. Now I'm going to be using Effect, Video Copilot, Optical Flare, so you can of course use different kind of plugins, whatever, and I will also open this up in our effects right here, Optical Flares, go to the position X, Y, go all the way to the beginning of our timeline and just paste these keyframes as well, and that's also going to make sure that our optical flares are going to be following along. I'm going to the options of my optical flares right here, and I will actually delete everything, we don't need anything, and then just go to the custom presets, and I have a glow here, which is actually just a simple lens object right here, which you can use and create your own glow, and then click OK, and now I have a simple glow like this. Scale it down a little bit, and then we can also set this blending mode to screen, and there we go, we have a nice optical flare. I will also go to the middle of the animation, so that's right here, and I will click on the keyframe for the brightness right here. At the beginning, I want to set the brightness to 0, and then at the end, I want to do the same thing. It's becoming brighter, and then it's going to fade off near the end. So there we go, we have a nice flare. Then of course, change the color to a nice warm color, something like this. Click OK, and there we go. Also, if you want to, you can also change the blending modes for the particle layers themselves. So they're going to brighten up a little bit more towards the top, and this is going to make it a little bit more realistic if you have the flare going on there. Okay, so pretty cool. Maybe if you want to, we can go crazy with the flare a little bit. So in the middle, we can actually increase it, something like this. And actually, it's already near the end. So I'm going to bring this one more towards this location here. And just increase it like this, and then you have something like this, for example. This is a little bit too much, but I'm just giving you the idea of what you can do. Okay, so we have our heart. What we can do now is actually select all of these layers except the background layer, then go to Layer, Recompose, move all the attributes, Heart, Part, and click OK, and now we can change the blending mode to a screen. Then duplicate that layer, right click here, Transform, flip horizontal, and there we go. Now we have a nice heart. Beautiful. Okay, so now what you can do is select these two layers and maybe duplicate them, put them on top. Maybe go to toggle the switches and make these two a 3D layer and actually push them back a little bit here in space. And now we have this kind of animation. Of course, because of the the optical flares, it's becoming brighter near the ends. What you can do here is, well, what I did is I just added a effect motion tile and apply this to one of the solids. And then here I will go and click mirror the edges to 150 and 150. Copy the motion tile and paste it on the other part as well. And now we have something like this going on. So this is also really cool. Of course, as you can see, we have these near the edges right now. But that is something you should have thought about in the beginning of the video, but this looks pretty cool as well. Next, what I've done is actually created a new adjustment layer and applied a simple glow. But before I did that, I went to my project manager and changed my bits per channel to 16 bits per channel. And then go to Effect, Stylize. Then go to Effect, Stylize, Glow. Decrease the intensity and then duplicate the glow, increase the radius a little bit, or you can go ahead and use our perfect glow, but I didn't want to use this in this tutorial, so you can actually easily follow this tutorial. But actually the perfect glow is an amazing kind of tool which you can use as well. So actually I don't know why I'm not using it. Okay, so right here we have this kind of animation, really cool. Next, what I've done is actually created a text animation. So I clicked right here and wrote Valentine's Day. There we go. I'll actually go to my Align tab and center my text and make it a little bit smaller. Then I went to the layer and I went to layer styles, gradient, and I just made a nice gradient. So in the edit gradient, actually I'm doing this a little bit fast, but we can go to gradient overlay, edit gradient right here. And what I've done is just picked a simple kind of red kind of color. And there we go. It's completely up to you what you want to do here, but yeah. And then play around with these settings a little bit. Maybe at the top we want to brighten it up a little bit more even, so we have a nice highlight here. Maybe more towards the yellow. And then next what I've done is actually go to animation and go to animate text, position. And here I just want to animate and enable per character 3D. So that will add another one here. So this will allow us to change the 3D of our position as well. So we can create a little stopwatch right here and actually move them back behind the camera actually. Put this keyframe right here and then just zero out the 3D positioning around 5 seconds. Or actually at 2 seconds, a little bit faster. And also, while we're doing that, let's create a new camera. And click OK. Okay. We can also animate this camera in a little bit, so over 5 seconds. Let's zoom our camera in just a little bit. And have a little bit more animation going on. And then next what we want to do is open the range selector for the text, and actually in the advanced tab you can toggle on the randomize order. And what that will do is just randomize our text and how it's actually going to be fading in. So now if we're going to change our shape to something like a round, and if we're going to play this back, we'll see that our text is now going to fly in like 3D characters. So that's really cool, a little trick that I did to make this kind of 3D kind of style. And then also what we want to do is the ease high. Let's create a new stopwatch at the beginning, and then around like 3 seconds, let's change this to 100. So that will actually tuck in the text well together. So, and then lastly, what I've done is just add a simple blur to kind of finish everything off. So we'll go to adjustment layer, go to effect, blur and sharpen, and add a camera lens blur. And here we will just go from like 25 keyframe, U on the keyboard, bring this keyframe all the way to the beginning, zero this out, and then right here we have a nice kind of animation where we are actually out of focus and kind of pulling the focus towards our text, which is really cool. And also make sure that the repeat edge pixels is toggled on. And there we go, we have a nice Valentine intro made in Adobe After Effects. Really simple to do. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like. Also subscribe to the channel for more, and definitely check out our website. We have a bunch to offer. And as I keep saying, like in every single video, it really helps to support the channel. So if you enjoy my content, go ahead and see if you can use anything from our website. Alright, so all the links will be in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.